Iran is promising revenge for the death of its top military leader, General Qassem Soleimani. The U.S. killed the general in an overnight strike in Baghdad. Analysts say that the move risks sparking a growing conflict in the Middle East. In Washington and across the U.S., politicians quickly weighed in on the news. This morning, it comes just as the Senate prepares to return to Capitol Hill today. CBS News political correspondent Ed O'Keefe is with us now to talk more about how lawmakers are responding to this. Many of them did not know, though Lindsey Graham seemed to have been made aware of the possibility. Ed, what's the reaction on Capitol Hill to the president's decision so far?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, Lindsey Graham, a close ally of his, told Fox News this morning that he had actually heard about this earlier this week when he golfed with the president on Monday in Florida. Unclear whether it was still a possibility at that point or actually was a firm plan. But regardless, it signals that at least somebody who's in Congress was aware of this. What's notable is that he's not in the leadership structure, not a member of what they call the Gang of Eight leaders of the two chambers who normally would be read in on significant national security moves like this. We did just get an update, however, from Speaker Pelosi's office, a spokesman, telling CBS News that last night that Defense Secretary Mike Esper requested a call with the Speaker after the strike had occurred. They connected Thursday night by telephone around 9:40 p.m. Eastern and had about a 13-minute telephone conversation, again, according to a Pelosi spokesperson. She had issued a statement last night signaling that she, like other top congressional leaders, did not get advance notice of this, which, of course, will stick in their craw today as they begin debating how exactly things should proceed from here. As she said, in part, America and the world cannot afford to have tensions escalate to the point of no return. Chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Eliot Engel, had said that the attack raises serious legal problems, and he said that according to the War Powers Resolution, the president is required by law to notify Congress within 48 hours. So we'll see whether that conversation last night between the Speaker and the Defense Secretary counts as part of that congressional notification, or whether there'll have to be something more formal once Congress gets back here overall. Republicans, again, are in lockstep with the president on this, saying that it's swift and justice for an Iranian leader who is responsible in one way or another for the death of hundreds of U.S. military service members in the Middle East over the past 15 years or so. And notably, before his Fox interview this morning, Lindsey Graham had issued a statement saying in part that if Iran continues to attack America and our allies, they should pay the heaviest of prices, which includes the destruction of their oil refineries.
So, as you point out, certainly everyone is clear here about how they feel about General Soleimani. I don't think anyone on Capitol Hill is going to miss him at all. He was not a liked man, but the way this strike was unfolded is what has sort of divided the two parties. Today, the Senate is back at work. We can expect what is typically sort of a short session, but I take it we also expect the senators to speak on this strike, at least on the floor.
Yeah, this is actually a constitutional obligation since today is, what is today? January 3rd, right. Yeah. So January 3rd is the day in the Constitution that the Senate, at least, is supposed to reconvene ever so briefly. And so what they will do today at noon is gavel in, and we're expected to hear from the top two Senate leaders, Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer, and then it's open for others to speak, but no votes will actually be held until at some point next week. And it's not until next week that we'll get word, probably, on whether or not there is going to be an impeachment trial and what exactly it might look like. Both of them, those Senate leaders, are expected to talk about that issue later today. That was the original plan. Now, undoubtedly, we'll also hear about this situation in the Middle East, and we're expecting that other senators will be here in the building throughout the day, so we'll start to get some better semblance of congressional reaction. Remember, one of the things that has hung over Congress, in addition to impeachment and all the other issues that they have to consider, is a long simmering debate on both sides of Capitol Hill about whether or not it's time for Congress to pass a new authorization of the use of military force. The federal government is still operating on the one passed in the weeks after 9/11, and many up here in both parties have argued for several years that it's outdated and needs to be updated to reflect more modern and current threats. We'll see whether or not this causes any of that, but remember, given that Republicans are so in lockstep with the president, at least initially, about this, Democrats may find it difficult to get any support for moving forward on that kind of a debate.
Pivoting over to Campaign 2020, some of those running under the Democratic ticket are also people who are in Congress working. Reaction from the campaign trail?
Well, among others, Bernie Sanders called this a targeted assassination and raised concerns that the president is potentially getting the United States into a new armed conflict. So did Elizabeth Warren, who said that the last thing the United States needs is a costly war. Former Vice President Joe Biden said essentially that the president had dropped a piece of dynamite into an already explosive situation and that he owes the American people an explanation.
All right, Ed O'Keefe, thank you so much.